friends. I have been praying about this video for weeks, and I like to call these videos one-take wonders because the idea is I just get to talk to you. But this is like a four-take wonder, and I actually had the whole thing done, uploaded to YouTube, and I just chucked it because God put something on my heart today that just feels better to me. In the end, I have to send this impersonal video because I need to get a vast amount of people the same information. That being said, I have been praying over your faces and your names and thinking about you now for weeks. And the truth is, what's represented in this video is months worth of dialogue and prayer. So I've been dying to send this sucker out, but the truth is, I really just want to take you to coffee and sit down and tell you God is doing incredible things at New Life, and I want you to be part of it. You're going to be part of it anyway because you wouldn't be on this video if you weren't already an active member of our life group. So the truth is, you would have been part of it anyway. But it's just different when you get to be in on the ground level and you get to be part of the spark that is happening, that God is using to change New Life. So consider us sitting down for coffee, even though I am standing and I don't drink coffee. And let's just chat for a second about life groups in the fall. You already know, because of Vision Sunday a couple of months ago, that we have felt that God is having us go into a season of message-based life groups. And that's just like a nice logistical thing to say. We had no idea. When we went away for 40 days of prayer and fasting, and God told us, I think this is what I want you to be doing, God was firm. We needed to confirm with each other. But when we came out feeling like, okay, message-based life groups is the way to go, we had no idea that this one thing that God was going to say to us over here was going to massively collide with something that the staff has actually been talking about for several years now. We've been talking about a culture of New Life that we are dissatisfied with. I know. You know, if you're going to make a recruiting video, the last thing you want to do is say that it started with God telling you that he was unhappy about something and that you needed to fix it. Wait, it just gets better. I'm going to tell you I have no idea what I'm doing, and that will seal the deal of recruitment. But we had no idea that God was going to take this topic that we have been talking about for a couple of years now, about our sense of community, that we're a warm and friendly church, but when you dig down deep, our people are just as thirsty for community as every other entity that has people in it, and we aren't beating the statistics when it comes to building community. We're beating the statistics about reaching out to our community. We're beating statistics about the number of people involved in life groups. We're beating statistics about the number of people involved in ministry teams. I mean, we're beating the odds all over the place. But when it comes to feeling a deep sense of community, we have great affection, we have warmth, we have all kinds of cool stuff. But there is this sense of community that is missing. And I don't mean to suggest that community is a feeling. What I mean to suggest is that when you experience community, there is a certain feeling that comes with that. And we have been dissatisfied that we're not finding that everywhere we go. When we put our dipstick in and check out life groups, this life group, that life group, this ministry team, that's something that has been leaving a foul taste in the staff's mouth. And we have been praying about it and discussing and researching and all kinds of stuff. We had no idea that God was going to take this random thing that he said, hey, I want you to do message-based life groups. And at the time, we thought he was saying it to us because it would decrease our schizophrenia around here. That instead of having people do one thing in their private devotions and another thing in their life group and a different thing on Sunday morning, this would allow us to streamline and to gain some momentum as a church body. That's why we thought God was saying it. We had no idea he's going to pull in this side topic that's been stumping us for a couple of years now and just pow, let sparks fly, and off we go. This fall is our opportunity to do that. And the truth is, maybe logistically speaking, it's not that different. To the average person signing up for a life group, they'll recognize that the catalog doesn't have topics and instead has locations and leaders and things like that. But logistically speaking, it's not that different. Our heart still totally is that there will be a small group of people that get together, that build relationships, that learn and grow together, that have communion together. That stuff is the same, to serve together. But we're making a key shift, and I would say two things about that key shift. One, we're chucking the rule book right out the window. And this is cue the time where I confess that I don't know what in the world we are doing. What I do know is that our life groups have assumed that when we get together and we want to learn, and we deeply want to learn, that we will learn, and also in the process of learning with other people, we will build a sense of community. But what we are starting to recognize, or at least what we want to experiment with this fall, is what if we got together and we said, if we get the community aspect right, if we build lasting friendships, if we get vulnerable with each other and laugh and meet together for the sake of being together, then learning will naturally happen. What if? What if? I mean, that is my phrase for all of fall. What if? What if we have been pushing our foot on the accelerator or the motivator of learning, and we all know everybody wants to learn. That's why we sign up for life groups. That's why we come to church. We want to improve and live life to its fullest. What if we took our foot off that gas pedal and we put our foot on the, hey, let's gather together and see what happens when we rub shoulders with other Christians and when we invest in friendships and when we dial it back on the whole agenda-driven and material-driven stuff. And what if it was just a group of people that got together and genuinely learned to love each other? And while they were together, that some of the stuff that they talked about was the message that they heard on Sunday at their local church. What if? I get so excited about that. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that the coaches team has been praying about and thinking about, and we've been researching and putting together in order to unleash this whole what if. So while we're throwing out the playbook and we're swinging the pendulum from learning-based life groups, which we will still learn, over to friendship community-based life groups, what could we do to empower you as life group leaders? One, to make this change as seamlessly as possible. So there's my third selling point. When you make a recruitment video, don't tell people the change is coming. Don't tell them that you found out God told you were doing something wrong. Don't tell them you have no idea what you're doing. And don't tell them you're throwing the rule book out. So I guess that just proves that if you end up at the end of this video saying yes, that it's really God's hand at work, because I'm doing everything I can to kill it, apparently. But what could we do to help this transition smoothly and to empower you as life group leaders? And we've come up with a couple of ideas that I think are just killer, and they're just a sample, but I want to give you a feel for what life groups this fall will feel like. For one, it'll be relational based. So we want you to invite who you want into your group. We'll still have open groups where people can sign up, but why wouldn't you start with the people that God is already bringing into your world? We all have people that we have been in life groups with before, or we're on ministry teams, or we just have met, and we thought, I wish my path crossed them more often. I'd like to get to know them better. What if we started with the premise that God was going to raise up leaders and that he wanted them to reach out to the people that he was already putting in their world, and they begin with the premise of, I've just been wanting to get to know you better, or spend time with you, or we've been trying to get our paths to cross. There's one thing that just totally changes the atmosphere of our life groups right off the bat. And then next, what if instead of logistically having to work through service projects and all that kind of stuff, what if we could provide a church-wide service project idea that you are welcome to do your own service project idea if they have something that's up your sleeve? But what if we did like a church-wide one and you guys could just participate instead of having to spend all this time laboriously figuring out which groups to come in? That's a way that we could lighten your load and give you more space for community. Secondly, instead of 15 or 20 questions for you guys to be picking and choosing from, when it comes to discussing this sermon, Kevin and I are going to sit down after a Sunday message and write 3 or 4 discussion questions. That's it. I want you to just press into those relationships, and that's a framework to begin discussing stuff. But how cool if you get done with your 3 or 4 and there's just leftover time at the end. Those of us that are task-driven are like, well, I have to come up with some other questions to fill in that space. But it will be a reminder to me when we get to the end of those 3 or 4 that my loyalty wasn't to the material. My loyalty was to rub shoulders with other Christians. So we get done with those questions and maybe we take tangents off the side. Or maybe we come up with our own questions. Or maybe we don't press into more questions and we get to spend more time sharing life stuff and prayer request stuff and just shooting the breeze. Just shooting the breeze. What if, what if, what if? There's a ton of other stuff that we've got up our sleeve to just lighten the load, to carve out and to make space for life group leaders to just press into those relationships. When I picture a life group this fall and what it would look like, I picture inviting some new friends into my home once a week and we just be together with our common understanding that the thing that we have in common is that we're all seeking out God. And that's just sitting there under the surface all the time. So we discuss the sermons, but maybe sometimes we're discussing life or we're sharing our stories. Why couldn't God, if Rick Warren is correct, and the staff has actually talked about it and voted that we believe Rick Warren is correct, if Rick Warren is correct in his purpose-driven life and purpose-driven church, he believes that there are 5 purposes for the church, and one of those purposes is community. The community isn't a symptom or it isn't an outcome, but community in and of itself is a worthwhile investment. If that's true, and we believe that it is, then why couldn't a night where we all just got together and went out to In and Out and enjoyed the, as in the churchy sense, the fellowship of the saints? What if we just got together and went out? Why couldn't God use community in and of itself to shape us, to spur us on to do better, to encourage us in our faith, to help us grow? Why couldn't that be in and of itself it's a worthwhile investment? I get super excited when I think about fall life groups, and the truth is there's a certain part of me that does this. Phew, that just feels good and feels right. And even if by us swinging the pendulum a little too far this way and saying, let's emphasize this and see what God does, God knows our hearts. God knows that as we press into community, the point is to press into Him. He's going to honor that. He's going to honor that, and we will work together. Now, you are on this video for a couple of reasons. One, because God brought you to mind as I was praying about this fall. That's super exciting and fun. But actually, the truth is, I think God brought some of you on because you are what researchers would call the change warriors. We went to a conference this last week, and one of the speakers talked about that every organization, nonprofit, church, doesn't matter, any profit, any company, has a certain amount of people in it that lean certain ways. 20% are what they call the change warriors. People that jump on board, that are eyeball deep invested in your organization, and when something like this comes up, I mean, it just lights them on fire. Yes, let's go try that. Let's go see what God could do. There's another 20% that are not going to change no matter what. They don't like change, or they like the way that it has been done, or they're just not interested in investing in that level. There's that 20%. But between those two 20% is a 60% that are waiting to see what the rest goes, what the tenor, what happens with it. You're here because I believe you're one of those 20%, the top 20% change warriors. You are the people that God has consistently used to have a voice in our church. You are the people who have built community in the past. You are the people that even if community building doesn't come naturally to you, that you're the kind of person that hears this stuff and is like, dude, I did not realize community is one of the top 5 purposes of the church. I'm in. I'm in just because that's what God talks about. So you are on this video because God has brought you to my heart, and I'm asking you to join my guinea pig team this fall. It's a 12-week session, like always. Is the same. They begin in October and run through December. They're message-based. You already know that. The idea is that they're food, fun, fellowship, a little talking. I didn't think of an F word for that one. A little chatting. They're going to be low maintenance and lighthearted and fun. And I'm asking you to be part of the team that allows me to pick their brains. So we're going to try. We're going to lean into this community thing. I want to know, how is it going? How is it working for you? What have you tried? What didn't work? What killed community? What actually built a community? What surprised you? Whatever. Would you be part of that crew that partners with me this fall? And I know that in being a life group leader, the truth is you're partnering with that group of people, and hopefully you feel great loyalty to them. But I'm asking you, even on a larger scale, would you partner with me? Would you partner with me and the coaching team? Would you let us pick your brain and learn from what you're trying to do this fall? We are doing our own experiments and giving it a shot, but your input is invaluable. Would you be part of that team that God uses to begin this culture change at New Life, giving us your feedback and your input and your insights and your instincts? Some of you have really strong instincts this way. Would you be part of that team? I'm going to follow up with you personally. I just needed to get the ball rolling by getting some information out there, but I will be giving you a call to see what you think. And I would love and relish your questions. When you throw out the rule book, it throws out all kinds of obstacles. So if I haven't answered something, or if you have a specific question, please reach out to me before I even reach out to you. Pick my brain. Let's work on this together as God is shaping this fall. I am super excited to see what He does, and I hope I get to share it with you. That'd be very fun. Talk to you soon.